Our next Photoshop thing is about adjustment layers, and this is a recording for people doing it from home. I am connected to the remote server already. I've already signed into Drive File Stream, so I'm ready to roll. If you haven't done that, you need to watch the other movie that is posted about connecting to the remote server and signing into Drive File Stream, because that all makes a difference. All right, I'm going to open Photoshop and we'll get it running, and I'll show you what today is about. You're not going to have to build a layered image today. We do that an awful lot. We build layered images, but we're just going to open 3 different photos and do an adjustment on them. And we're going to use adjustment layers to do it. And I'm going to demonstrate some options that you have, but exactly what they look like and exactly like what photos you use, that's all going to kind of be up to you. Hey, in case this ever happens to you, you can only sign in to our Adobe account in a limited number of places. So this is telling me, hey, you're trying to sign into a 3rd location, and you're already signed into 2, and 2's all you're allowed, so you just got to sign out of one of them. I'm going to sign out of my laptop, and then I'll hit continue, and I'm good. All right, Photoshop loading up. All right, so I'm going to, I think this tour thing might pop up here. No, yes, doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is just open a photo. And you could, I mean, if you need a photo, it could be a photo that you have saved on your Google Drive. It doesn't matter much what photo it is. As long as it's school appropriate, I'm okay with it. So you just need an image. And you could open up a tab and go save a image off of Google of something, right? Make it school appropriate. I'm just going to click open, and I'll do on my computer. And because I am connected to my Google Drive, all right, because I connected to that Drive file stream, I can dig in here, and I've got all my stuff tucked away in folders, and so I'm going to work my way in here and see if I can find what I want. All right, I think this is the guy that I'm going to use here. Let's see if I got the right one. Yep. All right, cool. Got it. Now I'm going to use my layers panel, which is right now the way my desktop is arranged. My layers panel is hiding way down at the bottom, so I'm going to bring it up in here. There's really not, I mean, the only thing on here is just the picture, but we're going to add a layer to it, so I do want my layers panel. All right, so this is the picture. Now, the first thing I want you to see about adjustment layers is that the adjustment that you can make can be really slight or really dramatic. So watch this. Here's one way you can do an adjustment layer. If you go to the layer menu, you go to new adjustment layer, and then you got all of these choices. And I am not going to demonstrate all these in this demo. You can try out whatever you want, and you can always undo things, you can always get rid of things, so you're not going to hurt anything. I'm going to do a curves adjustment on this, so I'll click curves, and I'll click OK here. Now here's what happens with a curves adjustment. Over here, when you're working with a curves adjustment, you get this slanted line here. So watch what happens when I play with this slanted line a little bit. If I just like pull on the line and do a thing kind of like that, do you see how I'm lightening the photo? All I did was bend the line a little bit, and the photo kind of lit up. Or I could pull it the other way, and you see how I'm kind of giving a little, I'm creating more contrast between the dark areas and his white uniform, and so I'm kind of darkening parts of the photo, and I'm just bending that line a little bit. Folks, this is something professional photographers do all the time with an image that they capture. They'll just make a slight adjustment. Maybe they have a good picture, but they think, oh, I just want to tweak it a little. And so you could do that. You could tweak it just a little, and then you could say, I want you to do 3 different ones on this assignment, so you could tweak it just a little, and then, you know, if you like this, you could save it, and that could be one, and you're done. But I also do want to show you this. What if I want to get like really super dramatic? If I bring this, if I bend this way up, and I grab this little handle on the other end, and I make it kind of like a ram. Oh man, holy cow! Now we're getting just off off the charts here. This is kind of going bazonkers with the kinds of things that I'm doing to this image. This doesn't look like normal really at all. Holy cow, that's crazy. But if that's what you're after, then maybe it's good, right? It depends on what you want. Maybe you're after something really dramatic. You really want it to look different. Okay. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you want something that's just kind of a slight adjustment to the image. All right, I'm playing with a curves layer and I'm making a really dramatic change. All right, I'm just going to close that panel. And so if that's what you want, then you come up here and say, okay, I'm done with that one. I'll do a file, I'll do a save as. I'm going to save it on my computer. And because I connected to my Google Drive, I can save it right on my Google Drive. And I would call these things like I'll say Photoshop adjustment 1, right? The file name is just PSADJ1, right? Photoshop adjustment 1, because that's what I did. I did an adjustment layer. So I'll hit save. I'll click OK on this. All right. Now I'm going to open another photo. I'll just click File and Open, and I'm going to dig into my folder here again. I'll get another one that I want to show you something. All right. Photoshop and all right. So here we go. I want Captain America. Okay, so here it is. It's this, somebody put this together. It's some images of Captain America. Okay, so I'm going to go to Layer and Adjustment, New Adjustment Layer. And this one is going to be a hue. I'm going to use hue and saturation. You do not have to do the same thing as me, and I am not going to demonstrate all of these. I'm just picking, so you can pick whatever you want. Try whatever you want. All right, I'm going to do a hue and saturation. I'll click OK. Now over here on these controls with the hue and saturation, there's a lot of ways I could do this. I could go colorize, and then I could play with the hue, and look what I can do to that photo. I can give it kind of a purple look. The whole thing looks kind of purplish, or the whole thing looks kind of yellowish, or the whole thing looks kind of greenish. That was colorize and slide the hue saturation. But actually I'm going to turn colorize off. I'm going to take the saturation slider right here and slide it down. And so what I did there was, now it looks like a black and white image, right? That's the adjustment that I made to it. It was a color image, and now I made it look black and white. So I'm going to close this little properties panel here. Now here's something I want you to notice, that on the layer panel, on hue and saturation, there's this white box, and I don't know if you remember our lesson on layer mask. What does that white box mean? It means there is a layer mask. What can a layer mask do? It can hide or cover. How do we hide or cover on a layer mask? You take the paintbrush, you use black paint. I'll just get it off of here. You use black paint. I'm going to make my brush bigger. Now watch what happens when I paint with a black paintbrush over Captain America here. What? Look at that. Wherever I paint is restoring the color that was originally there. Now let's think that through a little bit. The adjustment that I made to this image was I took it from being a color image and made it, I kind of overdid something here that I'm going to try to fix a little bit. There, that's better. The adjustment I made to this picture was that I took it from being a color image to a black and white by adding that hue and saturation layer. But then if I hide the effect, right, the effect was to make it black and white. But if I use a layer mask and I paint with black and I hide the effect, then it's letting the original color show through. Oh, cool. So that's something you could try if you want to do that. All right, so I'm going to do save as. And again, I'll go save on my computer, and because I connected to a Drive file stream, I can go to my Google Drive and go to my Drive and just say this is going to be PS adjustment number 2. Cool. All right, now one more idea to show you, and then I'm done, and off you go. I'm going to open another photo, and I got to dig into my folder again here. I'm going into classes and digital media. This is all on my Google Drive. All this stuff is on my Google Drive. All right, daily assignments and adjustment layers and ba-do-do-doom. All right, so I want this Dance Academy thing. All right. Okay, now the thing that I want to show you this time is you're not really limited to you're not limited to one adjustment. I could go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and I'm going to do a threshold on this one first. And I'll click OK on that. And on the threshold, I take this slider, and I could blow it out so that, it's like all white. Or I could take it over this way so it's like all black. But what it's doing is taking this image that was a color image and kind of making it so that there's nothing in there except for black and white. Right? It's not even gray. The only two things that are in there are black and white. And I can slide the slider back and forth to different levels until I feel like I've got something that I like. All right, so I'm going to go about there, and I'll close that little properties panel. Now, this is where I'm going to say, well, let's throw on another one. I'll go adjustment layer, and I'm going to do a gradient map. And I'll click OK. And then what happens with the gradient map is that I can pick a gradient, like, I don't know, blues, or whatever I want. Do you see when I click on these gradients, you see what's happening back there? See that? And there's all kinds of gradients. I could play with whatever I want to play. I could try whatever I want to try. Right? All kind of, that's a little bit. I want something more dramatic. What's iridescent going to give me here? Yeah. Ooh, I kind of like that. All right, so I'll click OK there, and I picked a gradient that I like. I could reverse it if I wanted to. Ooh, I kind of like that reverse. Look at that, reverse. That's cool. I'll close that. And look. And these are layers, right? There's a threshold layer and a gradient map layer, which guess what? Have blend modes. They have blend modes. They have opacities. I kind of like that. I'll drop the opacity a little bit. I kind of like what I'm getting there. Right? So the point I'm making here is that my original picture, let me turn these off. My original picture looked like that. I added a threshold adjustment and I got it to be like that. And then I added a gradient map adjustment and I got it to be like that. You're not limited to one adjustment. You could make more than one adjustment on any photo that you want. When you're happy and you know it, on you go, right? So I'm going to go File, I'm going to go Save As on my computer. And because I connected to Google Drive file stream, I can go to my drive, and I'll just call this PS ADJ adjustment layer. That's why I'm saying ADJ, and this is going to be number 3. The assignment today is do 3 of them. 3 of them. Did you hear that? 3 of them. 3 different pictures with 3 different adjustments. And look, all right. So now remember that when you're all done, you would want to get off close Photoshop. Sometimes the remote server's kind of slow. Sorry about that. And I'm going to close my Creative Cloud app, and I'll close that window. And this little Windows button in the bottom, Power. When you're done on a remote connection, you should shut it down. Shut down that remote connection. Windows Power shut down. Give it a second. It should come along here and say you have been disconnected. And I'm not connected to the remote server anymore. All right. Yay. End of demo.